So we're going to do this hands-on somatic sort of touch and feeling and being in your face with yourself. And this is some stuff that I've been doing in various ways. Um, Hold on. There we go. For the past year, actually. And we're going to start with our hands, just rubbing our hands together. You can do this laying down. You could be seated. You could be standing up, and however it works for you. So just rubbing your hands together. And actually in this hands, oh, we got Maria. In this, just going to give it a second for her to pop in. Yay. Hello, Maria. We're going to do this face stuff with hands on. So we're starting with rubbing our hands together. And as I'm rubbing my hands together, I'm also going to pan the horizon. So I'm looking from side to side. If it gets tiring to rub your hands together, you can stop. But just taking in, if you're laying down, you're taking in the ceiling, the surroundings. If you're seated, you're just taking in the space around you. And as you're taking in the space around you, sort of notice into your jaw. You can soften your mouth, if your teeth are closed, let it open slightly. Not that you're gaping and agape, but that your teeth aren't shut. You could do it with your mouth open as well. If I open my mouth and I kind of open my eyes wide, I get this kind of like, oh my God, surprise. But if I soften and just melt, just taking in what's around, noticing my neighbor across the street there, weed whacking. It's been going on all day. Such a joy. All the sounds of garden work. Okay, so we're going to just clear this top lymph node. So this is my right hand going to my left upper quadrant. This is above my collarbone and sort of between my collarbone and my sternocleidomastoid. So we're going to just clear this before we go up into the face, but we're going to work with some face stuff today. And a lot of the stuff I started playing with because I was doing a lot of breathwork practice and noticing how much I could change what was going on in my face when I did more hands-on stuff. So easy circles up there. If you want, you can move a little bit with that. It could be micro movement, it could be big movement, whatever feels good to you. This is really to go in and to feel into yourself. Slowing down, being more gentle and more kind within your own body. And then go ahead and switch it to the other side. Same thing on the other side. I'm here bouncing around on my physio ball. So if you see me moving and it looks weird, it's because I'm on the physio ball. And as I yawn, I can also feel this whole line of awareness in my neck, in my throat. Opening my mouth, getting some movement in there. Just coming into the lymph. So lymph is a big detoxifier of the body. When we work to clear that, we are working towards our health. And we're going to go up just behind the angle of the jaw. So we're going to do some jaw stuff and some nose stuff and some eyes stuff. And I've got my fingers kind of up and in the angle of the jaw and along that ridge of my jaw underneath. And I'm not jamming my fingers into my lymph nodes, but I'm just feeling around to see how things feel in there, what it feels like, what is moving, how is it moving. Loosening and relaxing. Tongue relaxed. Face muscles relaxed. Yeah, and then we're going to take the hands and just give them a little shake, let that release. And go ahead and just take your time there with that, Maria. Catch up, do whatever you got to do. And we're going to now go really gently, like little pitter-patter, light touch fingers along the edge of our jaw, along the edge of the bone. So kind of under where the roof of the teeth are, just going really light touch from the outside into the center and then back out. And as I get in there with that light touch, I can feel back into my spine. So I'm turning my head just a little bit, thinking of the fluids in my head and brain, the stuff that's the cerebrospinal fluid that's protecting my brain and going down my spinal cord, also having some freedom to move in and out. So as I'm doing this manipulation on my face, there is a lot of capacity for movement. I am letting fluid move, and that allows, and I'm imagining that there's more freedom up here. And I'm going to go same thing on the top jaw. So I'm going kind of above the root of my teeth, like up here, and I'm just going to go out to the edge and bring it back in. And if you're laying down and your arms are tired, you could put pillows around. So, and I'm kind of resting my arms on my body, but just if your arms get tired, I'm coming in. So right around here, this is in my face, kind of a squishy spot. I'm just going to get in there a little bit next to my nose. There's a chiropractor that does a lot of lymph flush stuff that I learned a lot of this stuff from. And he calls this, sorry, I'm not meaning to give you the finger, but this area, the toilet of the face. So letting that clear out, flushing the toilet of the face. Ha. And you can also kind of move inside of that. So as I'm moving this tissue on the outside, I can kind of feel into my sinuses as well. Moving my face, squishing it up. Ah. Finding some cat hair that's going into my eye. Shake it out for a second, let it release whenever you need to. Whenever you need to just drop the hands, go ahead. And then I'm going to come back in to my teeth again. So I've come into this edge, I'm going to take it back out. And I'm going to kind of, this isn't even my teeth, this is under the bone of my cheekbone. And I'm going to dig in there a little bit. So I'm pushing in, squishing in. I know this is a very attractive thing. Just getting some movement under there. Movement and fluids. So that the fascia in my face and what's underneath it have a chance to sort of reintegrate whatever needs to be integrated. So things aren't getting stuck and jammed up in there. I do this a lot if my nose is stuffed up. I just go under that ridge of my cheekbone and do little circles. And I'm also doing some yawning so that I'm opening it from the inside, opening up my ears, my station tubes. And then I'm going to come into this spot right here. So this little ridge nubby part of my ear is called the tragus. Just kind of above that and in is a really soft little indentation. And if I go really slow and gentle and make a circle there, it feels incredibly good to me. So circling right in there, it's like, it's almost at the bottom of my little hair line there, maybe a little bit behind that. So feeling in there and just slowing down with that. So for me, when that particular location tells me to slow down, it gives me a slow down, relax, soften. I'm feeling in. If your body, if you want to do something else, you can play with that. So I can kind of do a little tiny pinch in here. I'm getting like, there's my cheekbone going in. I can go under, so I'm a little bit more in my jaw, and then I'm also in that thing, and just give it a little pinch. Feeling into that, bringing some awareness into these places in our body. And then I'm going to take my fingers like this up along. So here is my, next to my eye, just a little higher, maybe my temple. And I'm going to work in from the edge of my hairline in towards my eye, just little tiny, soft, gentle fingers. So none of this, I'm not going hard. I kind of went hard under my cheekbone, but that's about the only place. The rest of it really, really soft and gentle. We're going to get to some sound and some humming in a minute after this. Just feeling into that. Then we're going to come back to our nose. And I'm going to take my thumbs and I'm going to kind of pull up and in towards the ridge of my eye. Not so that I'm getting onto the ball of my eye, but so I'm kind of in and up, and then the ridge of my brow. So nose, in and up to ridge of the brow. Yeah, so much, like we have so much access to slowing down, working with our own healing energy, with our own health when we tune into it. Shake that out, let it go. We're going to do one more up here. I'm going to take one hand a little higher, one hand a little lower, and I'm just going to push in gently. So my finger on this one is a little higher, this one's a little lower. I'm just pushing in. And then changing that to the other side. Little push. Doesn't have to be too hard, just gentle. Feeling into that. And then shake that out. Shake, shake, shake. And we're going to go to the top of the head. So like this is the midline of your head. It's called the falx. Is it the falx cerebri? It's the FALX something. And it's this, they're inside. Inside is like the connective tissue that is separating the two halves of your brain. So that's inside of your cranium. But we're just going to imagine that we're kind of touching into that. You could do this with your hands just pulling out and down. To me, I like to kind of do a scratch as I move my way down. And I'm going to do it a few times so that I get all of my head in the front, in front of my ear, behind my ear. Listen into your own body. You may go, I want to kind of do it like this. I want to kind of do it like that. Don't think that however you do it has to be exactly the way I do it, right? Inside, our bodies have a lot of the same structures, but they're going to be kind of shaped differently from person to person. Like, yeah, shake it out. Let's do one more place. I'm going to turn around so you can see this. So I'm going to go right at the base of my hairline, and I'm just going to do those little soft, gentle fingers out to the edge. And this here, we're kind of touching into where our vagus nerve goes out of our cranium. So there's like three little holes, or one big hole and two small holes, where the vagus nerves go out here, and then the big hole in the middle is where your spinal cord is going down, brainstem to spinal cord going down. So just feeling like there's a capacity for movement up and down through the spinal cord. And also your optic nerves are actually coming back down into your neck, and then they go back up and they do things in your head with your pineal gland. So there's all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of cross-hatching happening inside. Surprise, surprise. So now we can relax, hands down. If you want to keep putting them on anywhere, feel free to do that. But we're going to play with this sound. So the sound is like an NG, like mm. You can do it with your mouth open or closed. Mm. It's easier with your mouth open. If I close my lips, it turns more into an M sound, a mm. So the NG sound, when I do it, I'm letting my tongue kind of go up into the soft palate and then spread and widen. And as I do that, I can feel like the sound shifting in my head. I can feel the vibrations of that. I can also feel here sort of some overtones within my own head. So it's like this multi-layered vibration that's going on. So let's just play with that. You can do it laying down if you want to. I think I'm going to stay seated for a little while, and then eventually I'll lay down. But going with back and forth, you can go with the sound. So the closed mouth humming is going to produce that nitric oxide, which is great for your heart, great for your the endothelium in your heart. It's also a antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral. So I'm not sure if the sound does as much, but I bet it really does. So playing with the tongue, like a sea creature moving around in there, listening into the sounds and playing back and forth with that. Doesn't have to last forever. Take resting breaths whenever you need them, and just stop and feel into your body whenever you want to. Taking as long as you want with any exhale or inhale. It doesn't have to last forever, just what's comfortable. And for me, taking the visual out of it makes it a lot more interesting. Inviting anything to bubble up or settle down in micro movement, whatever feels good in your body. if I move my tongue a little bit, and just the tiniest movement of my jaw can send the sound to different places, like it can go more to one side or the other, especially since I have earbuds in. You could try sticking your fingers in your ear if you want to have more access to that sound if you're not wearing earbuds. And you can also try hands on just to see how the vibration is happening. Allow yourself to just be playful with it. So it doesn't have to be any right or wrong with this. It's just like I'm just playing and they're feeling what I feel. To me, when like in my head, there are these overtones, and I feel like it's almost like if I was seeing the light of the sound. I mean, I'm not seeing light, but I can imagine like what's happening in there. It's this sort of multi-sensory imaginative experience as well as being a multi-sensory actual experience. So like my hearing, I'm hearing it, I'm feeling it, okay, tasting it practically. Oops, I'm going to share sound and let us just play with that. I think it's going to be Jeff Gersh music. Thank you, Jeff Gersh, for being amazing and making all this music that's really good for somatic practice. Let's see. Let's go with that. So once I put the thing on, I may talk a little bit, but mostly you're on your own just to play, to let let that stuff that we just did with our face like kind of come into our bodies however it wants to land. That volume okay? Okay. I'm gonna take it down to the floor. Feel free to make sounds, to not make sounds, whatever you want. try a different one. That one's kind of activated. Yeah, sometimes easier to go deeper with the slower, lighter stuff, but sometimes that stuff can bring up things too. Also, feel free to drink water after doing all of that throat stuff. Hey, Michael. We just did all that nose and throat stuff that we did yesterday in class, and now we're just in the dancing around exploring. inviting your own body to sort of surrender and let go of anything that isn't serving you, right? Inviting any kind of holding, ginchy, yuckiness that's in there, just inviting it to release. Finding some spaciousness, some aliveness. And all of this movement is just a chance to sort of renegotiate what it is to be you right now in this moment. So you don't have to hold on to all the things of the past or all the things of the future, all the planning, all the judging, all of that stuff. Just being in presence with yourself as is right now. Sometimes we're holding on to stuff that we don't even realize that we're holding on to until we release it, and then we're like, oh, wow, we have these patterns of being. So letting your pattern of being be really nurturing for you, letting your pattern of being bring you resilience and resources, like internal resources, recapitulating, like the good stuff, becoming coherent in your body, in the systems of your body, and in the systems of your life. And of course, life being life is going to bring us challenges. Oh, and kitties. Sometimes we're going to get kitties too. Today is the kitty visitation day. And being soft doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries, that you don't say no. It just means that you are okay with saying no, or okay with putting up boundaries, and they don't cause tension for you. Just that things don't get stuck anywhere. They can keep moving through the system. Sometimes it takes a while for them to move through. Sometimes they move quickly. Just inviting yourself. Also, like within that, since we did that whole nose and face thing, is there holding stuff in your face? Faces that you've held in, faces that you want to release. Just giving yourself freedom to make some faces. Have freedom in your face. You know, we never know what little tension and holding pattern in one area is causing something else in another area. So just inviting the whole thing to have some flow, some breath. Some groundedness. fire, some passion. And if we add the metal element, as I'm just learning, that's the boundaries. It's also lung. So that goes with breathing. And then deep, deep self-acceptance, right? Can we accept ourselves? Sometimes when we're put in uncomfortable situations, we start to twist and become less and less like the version of ourselves that we know and love. And then we can be very judgmental of ourselves. So can we be soft and accepting of ourselves as we make our way through life, trying our best? I guess that metal helps us decide the boundaries of, is this my stuff? Is it someone else's stuff? Is it family stuff? Is it political stuff? Is it social stuff? What stuff are we dealing with? By letting ourselves just maybe clear away any kind of stuff that we don't want, just with some touch, or some breath, or some movement, letting that just bring to life this clearing of energy. Clearing out the detritus. So much stuff in my house, so much of my own stuff that I could start to clear out, to let go of. And I mean like literal material stuff, or your own, energetic stuff, or your issues, your psychological stuff. Just creating space. Inviting in some compassion. Inviting in some equanimity, accepting the as is. Just accepting things changes them. But every moment changes everything anyway, so staying present with yourself as much as possible. Forgiving yourself for all the mistakes, all the wrong things you said, all the oops. Clearing out whatever kind of holding of stuff against yourself that you might be holding. Just inviting in that deep love and friendship. It's okay. We're all doing our best. That is Jeff Gersh. That's Ambient Fields. That album, I think it's just, does it have a name? I'm not sure. I think it's, oh yeah, it does. My eyes are too small to read it. I think it's number 2 is the name. Oops, that was a horror. I usually slow down and close it gently, but I didn't that time. Sorry about that. Hope it wasn't too jarring. I'm going to end the live stream. If you're out there in TV land, please like and subscribe. Share this with